Okay, so welcome everybody to the stock and option webinar. We're going to see what's going on with these markets and where we can get things going. Anybody that has any questions? Hey, Dom, good to see you. Anybody that has any questions about a specific strategy or something that you want to talk about or bring up or a stock or whatever, let me know. I'll kind of let you guys know a little bit of what I've been hearing a little bit lately, which is kind of a challenging market, right? It's kind of a challenging market, and things are kind of trickling higher, and that's that's where everybody is thinking everything should be going lower, right? We have this looming thing over here. Where was oh, I don't know. Where did I see any of this stuff? Did we have unemployment numbers announced today? We have unemployment numbers. Um, uh, oh, I don't know. It's somewhere in there. But I think we hit. Does anybody know what our unemployment numbers are? Are they 40 million now? Something like that? Somewhere up in that range. But it's terrible. Whatever it is, it's terrible, right? But the market seems to just be marching higher, and it's kind of got everybody perplexed. And of course, you guys have heard me say, trade what you see, just follow the charts along. But sometimes if you just can't divide that, what I see and what I think is too strong, stay out of the market, right? I've heard a lot of people say, I'm kind of getting hammered in this market right now. I'm having a hard time making money. I'm having a hard time being on the right side of a trade. I'm having a hard time, I'm going in the wrong direction on some of these things, or I'm just getting chopped up in the sideways movement on others. Patience, patience. The thing that I always love to remind everybody of is when in doubt, stay out, right? We never want to trade to trade. We have no responsibility to the market to put a trade on, none whatsoever. So that is just something to keep in mind, something to remember, that there's nothing that we have to do. So if you don't feel like you have a good, clear picture of what's going on, then just steer clear. So a couple of things to keep in mind there. But as we kind of look at all this and we say, okay, what's going on? How is everything playing out? And where do we expect this to all go and run and so on? And I'm not. I can't say that there's too many things I'm super excited about at the moment. I look at the stock market and I think, like, all right, there's a few things that are doing well, and there's a few things that, this is kind of the hard period, right? When we look at all this, we say, okay, SPY's come off its lows by a chunk. Obviously, we've seen, a lot of tech stocks. We can look at, QQQs or anything else. We're back up to these highs. We're back up to these levels. We can look at this and say, okay, this is going to be a tough time to trade, right? If I look at the Qs here and I say, all right, tech stocks have most of them have recovered the highs, which were all-time highs, by the way. They've just come right back up to that, and they're just going like gangbusters, and they're doing great. I'm not going to be too surprised. I don't know that I'm ready to get super bearish on this stuff, but at the same time, I kind of don't want to be super bullish. So I think we're going to be looking at some of this stuff, right? We're going to start to see some of this sideways chop and some of this sideways movement. Don't hesitate to see that kind of a thing. Think about what would cause you the most amount of frustration to see happen in the stock market. And then that's probably what's going to happen. So if the most frustration is this just goes sideways and we just get hammered, I think that's a pretty real scenario. Or this just keeps cranking, right? And it just keeps pushing higher and making a run up, and it kind of does that move there. So I would say, whatever those things are that are going to drive you the craziest, expect that to happen. People have been asking me, they're saying, what are you trading? What are you loving right now? I wouldn't say that I'm loving anything really. Some of the things that I'm trading are, I'm trading a couple of these, little low-hanging fruits that I've been talking about. Some of the banking stocks have done well, and I'm looking for some quick little profits there. I'm not really expecting them to do anything massive yet, but I think it's coming. Airline stocks are, remotely looking interesting. So we're getting a little bit of movement there, and so I'm interested in some of that stuff. But But yeah, I'm not super excited about anything in the stock market right now. And I'm kind of curious, what do you guys think? What do you guys feel like is the most exciting sector to be trading? Obviously, tech stocks have made a massive run. So that's been a big mover. But I'm curious, what have you guys been trading? What have you guys been finding to be some favorites, some stocks that have moved well and done well for you and seem to be, giving, because it all kind of comes back to that, right? Does something have a recognizable setup that I can see and trade, and is it following through? The big $99 million question. So what have you guys been loving? Curious. What do you think? Type over, a sector, a stock. I mean, what's been the most profitable for you guys over the last week or two or three? Anybody? What do you guys think about that? Obviously, anybody that dove into tech stocks at those lows have, massively profited. But, and again, kind of what the market has done in this last little run has been, has been pretty crazy, right? It's been pretty crazy to see, a huge sell-off. The economy is shut down, and then the market recovers 100% long before anything starts opening back up again. And so remember, the stock market's kind of that thing that's trying to sniff out some future gains, right? Does the stock market, does the tech sectors, these tech stocks, what do they think for future gains? Tech stocks are having current gains, but they also have a big opportunity for future gains. We've just kind of transitioned our world and our society from, let's do everything on paper to, oh my gosh, let's finally stop doing that junk and let's use technology. And so these tech stocks are poised to benefit in a major way from all of this. So of course they're doing great. I have people ask me all the time, what about, how's the marijuana stocks looking? How's the 5G stocks looking and all that? And I go, there's way better things to be trading. We have a tech industry that's just booming like crazy. We have, honestly, I'll bring up something crazy here, and I think it's fantastically crazy. Bitcoin. Buy some Bitcoin, folks. Bitcoin's either headed to the moon or it's going bankrupt. And I think we have a better chance of moonshotting. So Bitcoin's that little sneaker that likes to mess with everybody. But if the stock market continues to stay strong, I think everybody needs to have a little chunk of Bitcoin, like everybody needs to have a little chunk of gold in their portfolio and a little chunk of everything else. Bitcoin's a good one to have in there. Just putting that out there. Not trying to get too fringe over here, but Bitcoin as an asset class is actually pretty solid. Okay, so Dom, WRB in the insurance sector has been a winner. That's good. WRB. Yeah. Insurance stocks have kind of been interesting. They seem to be hanging in there. This is a good looking little double bottom here, making its way back up, and so it's doing well. Steve, mini Bitcoins, you can buy chunks of Bitcoin. You can buy like $100 chunks of Bitcoin. So yep. Bitcoin soars during presidential elections. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, we'll talk about we'll talk about that, Lenny. I think the best way to get into Bitcoin. There are a couple of what is the ETF? I don't even trade the ETF, but there is an ETF for Bitcoin, and it's regular Bitcoin's BTC, but it's BTC. You can trade Bitcoin futures, but what is the other? I'll have to look it up. Grayscale Bitcoin Trust? Is it this guy? I don't know. Somebody was telling me, and I haven't traded it much, but there's Bitcoin ETFs. There's Bitcoin ETFs you can trade, but yeah, and this is Grayscale, but there's another one. There's another one out there. But anyway, so there's that. But I would just buy some Bitcoin. I would go set up an account on Coin. Hold on here. Set up an account on Coinbase. Go to Coinbase.com. Set up an account. Buy some Bitcoin. You just fund it really easily. This is a U.S. company. They're probably the biggest in the U.S. by probably a fairly long shot. I'll just post this link here in the chat for you guys. But yeah, if you want to buy some Bitcoin, you can put $100 in, buy $100 of Bitcoin. But I think everybody needs to own a little bit of Bitcoin. I think that's what you got to do. So Coinbase is kind of the go-to, and I think they're, I think they're probably your best way. Put a couple $100 in, $1,000, whatever. Just hold some Bitcoin. That's it. It's just like buying stock, but you're buying Bitcoin. Yes, Coinbase. So just use that link. Anybody that's interested, just go to that link in the chat there, Coinbase.com. Okay, let's go back a little bit over here. Okay, Patty. Hey, Patty. I've been selling covered calls, credit spreads too. Yep. Okay, and this is definitely a good covered call credit spread kind of market. I'm all about the credit spreads, pretty much always, but specifically now, especially as we're looking at some of this stuff where, again, just going back over here for the example and seeing this whole thing move. That's credit spread, that's iron condor. That's just, don't try to pick direction here. Just, either steer clear or, trade breakouts or plan on this thing staying in the middle here. And I think there's, some good possibility on some iron condors and some credit spreads in all of this. So, yeah, potential weakness in gold sector. Yep, gold and some of the metals there, Dom, as you're talking about. There's something to be talked about on that for sure. Steve, aerospace. Yeah. I think there's going to be some decent opportunities there. So, I would just like to say trade, sell options, whether you're selling covered calls or you're selling credit spreads or something. This is a sell and option market. I think direction's going to get a little bit messy here, and things are going to get a little bit yucky. And betting on direction, by the way, is always statistically the hardest thing that you can do, right? It's the most risky, challenging thing you can do, and that's why buying a call option or buying a put option makes the most money, but it also fails the most as well because it is quite difficult to do. So selling options, especially in this market, is going to be the thing to do. Now, again, we just want to kind of follow what the market's showing us, follow what it's doing. I think a lot of these tech stocks, I think we have a lot of this coming up, some consolidation. And guess what? If we don't have consolidation, we have areas that we can watch, right? If we look at the Qs, we look at any of the rest of the tech stocks, we have some areas where we say, okay, we get it up here. What's going on with I think my computer is actually overheating. So we have these tech stocks that are, that are making this run over here. If we get above that, still, I'm going to sell a put spread, right? I'm just going to trade this thing in a careful fashion, get it up here, play it safe, play it easy. And yes, I would consider getting bearish some of these channels as well and start looking at maybe some short call spreads or even maybe selling some puts and so on, buying some puts. I do think that, as we talk about some of these patterns, we talk about some of this stuff that we're looking at, I do find myself, wondering as tech stocks and as some of these others are kind of coming up to these highs, right? Coming up to these big highs. These are all-time highs. And what we're always trying to kind of look for is what is the next big event, right? And as I look at this, as far as the next big event, I don't know what it is, but nobody knows what it is, but the next big movement, right? What's going to be the next big activity here? And as I look at this and I see that that we have a big double top right here, right? We have this big movement in a lot of these tech stocks. We have that big movement, and the question is that going to be a double top, or is it just going to come blasting through that? Now, this kind of gives us two bearish things overlapping each other to look at, right? We have a potential double top, so that's always bearish. And then we have this rising wedge getting us there. So a rising wedge into a double top, it makes me, mentally I think, man, tech stocks have to keep just cranking from all of the shift in, in subscribers and user base and so on. They've just got to be blowing up on all that stuff. But I look at this chart and I say, this could also be a great spot where some profit taking happens and we start getting, some weakness and we start getting some of that falling out of that rising wedge and that double top holds, right? And we get, a big push down, a big move down. If we haven't seen yet, I know a lot of people have been panicked about the coronavirus stuff. A lot of people haven't cared at all. And if we look at that and we say, okay, did anybody ever expect that to happen? I mean, if there's nothing more than a stock market takeaway here, it is that the market loves to surprise people. You know, did we see this big sell-off coming? No. Did we see this big recovery coming? No. You know, when it starts to sell off, we think, man, this is a mess. This has got to go lower. Okay, it turns around, starts coming back. Here we are, back to all-time highs. So, you know, just be ready to kind of follow the charts. Hey, Andrew, good to see you. Glad you can make it in. Just be ready to follow the charts and look for these kinds of movements and be ready for this kind of stuff. I mean, you know, I want to be in tech stocks as much as everybody else, and there's been some interesting ones to watch. But when we're getting into this kind of an area, tons of indecision. And I'm, you know, as I've said, the only thing to do here now is possibly trade, you know, an iron condor, right? And just plan on this thing going sideways. But I'd rather just wait for confirmation. Are we going to get this thing just consolidating? Great. If that's the case, let's iron condor that consolidation until the cows come home. But if this starts to break out of that rising wedge and it looks like we have a double top in place, I mean, could there be a big sell-off? I don't know. I mean, the tech sector seems rock solid right now. And, you know, that's typically when things like to mess with our brains a little bit. So I think that is something to look at. The other thing that I would suggest kind of following along. So we've got all these tech stocks, you know, you can look at Google and you can look at everybody else, right? And they're all kind of, you know, they're all kind of doing the same song and dance, right? Google is staying in this channel. We've talked about this channel and said, okay, if this thing breaks, you know, we talked about it over here. It was looking like, hey, maybe it's going to break. Never broke, right? I haven't moved this channel, this area in a while. But again, are we looking for that move? Are we looking for that all-time high to be reached before this thing starts to sell off? That's not that big of a move, right? From 14, 16 to 15. You know, run up another $100, it's a couple of percent, right? So I'm just, you know, I just kind of look at that and I think to myself, I'm just going to watch the channels and I'm just going to see where these guys go. I know that tech stocks are poised to benefit in the long term, in the short term, and everywhere else, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm going to watch some channels and I'm going to look for these, you know, for these resistance levels, these double tops, these, you know, these rising wedges, these breakouts, and look for some moves there. But I'm very not anxious to get into anything either. So I'm having a great time just watching the market, do what it's doing, and try to give us that, you know, a slightly clearer picture of, you know, of where the next big opportunity is going to be. As long as we're trading around these decision points, these major highs, these major lows, then that's what I want to see. Okay, so a couple of things to look at there. You know, I know I'm a freaking broken record about this, and I apologize, but it's just calling our name right here, right? Are we going to see channels continue in the airlines? The airline industry says it's going to take till 2023 to get back to normal. Okay, well, then I will wait, but not too long, because we start getting some breaks and we start getting this, you know, these airline stocks running up, and I think there's going to be some really good opportunities there. I fly out of town next week, and it's going to be interesting. I'm flying to Alaska, of all places, next week, and I haven't been in an airplane or an airport for months now. Usually I go somewhere every, you know, pretty frequently, and now it's been a couple of months since I've been to an airport or in an airplane. I'm going to get a good feel on these airplanes. I'm going to see how they're looking, how they're operating, what they're doing. You know, see if I can get some inside scoop from the boots on the ground at work in these airline industries, because I just feel like the airline stocks are going to be great. They're going to be great. So they're interesting. But it was interesting. I was flying, you know, I was checking some airlines that have a lot of flights to, you know, places I'm going. I'm making a pit stop, a little layover, and then I'm, you know, headed to Alaska. And it's weirdly hard to find flights between major cities now. They're just, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy hard to find flights in these major areas because every, you know, flight schedules are down a huge amount. But if there's one thing that we've noticed from the market here, just in general, is that any optimistic news, the economy's opening up, this state, that state, the other state's opening up, the market takes that super, super optimistic. And as we see restrictions start to lift from the airline stocks, I think that's going to be the boom. And so as we just watch these levels, you know, 27, $27.50, $28 on Delta, I'm ready. I'm going to start buying into this stuff. I'm going to go crazy. Disney World opening July 15th. That's the truth. That's the truth. I saw, I think this is all the Disney parks. Maybe it was Disneyland that I read the headline. They said, everybody's got to wear masks and everyone has to get their temperature checked. And it's going to be just, oh my gosh. I mean, Disneyland's already ridiculous enough to get around, but now everyone's got to get a, you know, a temperature check and a back rub to get into the place. I mean, that's a hard pass for me. So it's going to be crazy, but yeah, but Disney, I mean, Disney is one of the craziest stocks right now. I mean, these guys have just been murdered, all things considered, and their stock is just, I don't know why I think my computer really is super hot because it is running real slow. But their stock continues to, you know, boom. It's just going strong. So that's where we're gonna see it all. That's where. Don't forget your hazmat suit when you get on the. That's right, Steve. That's right. Kevin, your cousin works for Disneyland. No fireworks, no parades, no characters. Yeah, I mean, seriously, why would you go at that point? It's I was kind of expecting the characters, you know, Minnie Mouse to have a mask on over the mask and then just suffocate probably, but oh man, gotcha. Makes the handheld temperature mask interesting. It is, Andrew. It is a little crazy. Why is Disney going so much higher? And again, what is the stock market trying to do? It's trying to sniff out profits. Where is their opportunity? Does anybody think Disneyland is going to ultimately suffer in the long run? You know, I just don't think they can. Disney has such a grasp on the world that it's just going nuts, right? And it's not even, you know, I wouldn't even say that it's, I mean, anything other than the fact that looking at Disney, you look at this and you go, these guys have a monopoly on everything in their industry, basically. I mean, is anybody going to amusement parks that aren't Disneyland? I mean, yes, they do, but we don't hear about it, right? Does anybody, you know, not watch Avengers movies and Pixar movies and buy all their toys and do? I mean, Disney as a company has an absolute monopoly on all things that they do. So if you can pick up Disney at $85, $90, heck yeah, you do it, because they'll recover. Disney's got plenty of money. If they have to do some debt financing, they'll do that. They don't care. They make more money. They know what to do with. So that's what the stock market's doing right now. Is it's making this move of what is the potential that this company or this market or this stock or whatever has the ability to make some profits coming up. And you know, that's it. Mel, hey Mel, good to see you. Greatest place on earth, old Disneyland. Oh boy, I'll tell you. Yep, that's right, Kevin. That's right. That's right. Big stake in the streaming world. Yeah, that's true. Yep, Andrew. Retail traders fear of missing out. Absolutely. So, you know, and just remember, guys, that's the stock market, right? What is making money now, but more important, what has the potential to be making money? You know, is Zoom going to keep making, whoops, sorry, thanks everyone. Is Zoom going to keep making money? Are people going to stop using Zoom when coronavirus market, you know, or when coronavirus life ends? No, people aren't going to stop using Zoom, because guess what? Coronavirus or not, if you don't have to drive 50 miles to have a meeting with somebody, great. You don't have to. And now everybody is like legally required to know how to use Zoom. So are these guys going to keep going? I think so. What's Zoom's potential of future profits? It's good. It's real good, right? And so, so, you know, you just have to kind of think of it in that way, right? Why do you think Tesla's stock has gone up so much? Why is Tesla trading in the 800s right now? Why did it hit $900? not because they make money right now. In fact, they don't make money right now. I mean, I think they had a profitable quarter last quarter the quarter before for the first time, something like that. But it's their potential for profit in the future, and that's what's driving the stock market, and that's what's driving all of this stuff. What is the potential for profit? Dom, yes. Option spreads only. I think it's a great idea for Zoom. Yes. Steve, nobody owns Zoom. Zoom's a publicly traded company. That's all they do is just Zoom. So, yep, they're not owned by a larger corporation or anything. Yeah, Amy. Yep. Disney's platform is pretty big deal for sure. I'm using Zoom like software for 10 years. I've gone through 5 different pieces of software. None of it seems to last. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, when I started doing a lot of these trading sessions and online webinars and so on, I was using GoToMeeting. And Citrix has hung in there, but I mean, what do people say right now? Nobody accidentally slips out, hey, let's jump on GoToMeeting, right? They say, let's have a Zoom call. Let's have a Zoom conference. Even if they don't use Zoom, they're saying, let's jump on Zoom. So, you know, it's kind of like Band-Aid, right? Band-Aid is, you know, it's actually a bandage, right? It's not Band-Aid. Band-Aid is a brand, and that became kind of the namesake of it. And so I think Zoom has come at the right time, doing the right thing, and I think it's going to be a good stock for sure. Mel, I do remember Skype used to be amazing, and then Microsoft had a run at it. That always hurts things. Yep. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. So, you know, these are the things I'm looking at. I still find interest. You know, we've seen. Remember, guys, here's a couple things to look at as well. Here's just kind of a little market update. You know, if you haven't been watching oil, remember the energy market is getting pretty solid, right? And, you know, as I like to chat with the people on the, you know, the boots on the ground, so to speak, I've been talking to a lot of Texans, and, you know, yes, we do have a glut of oil. There's no limited amount of oil out there, but storage facilities seem to be full, but production is cutting back, and as demand rises again, traffic and travel and all of that, I think we might find ourselves in a little bit of a spiking oil market. I'm not saying that oil's going to run up to 70 or 80 bucks, or that oil's going to really make this big run for the long term, but I could see kind of short term oil getting up there a good little bit. So do we have any oil stocks that could be traded? Yeah, Andrew. Yep, Halliburton. Boy, I don't know why this thing. Okay, Halliburton seems to be, you know, still in this area here. We're going to see these guys break out down, or we're going to see them break out up, and, you know, and test some of these bigger upper levels. I mean, we've got 18, 20 bucks that probably needs to get hit for Halliburton. Yeah, for sure. It's that's the truth, Mel. That's the truth. Oil, I mean, it's just so crazy. It's so crazy that, you know, the price can be controlled outside of the fair market. I mean, and oil is one of those things. Parsley, P, small, will run oil company. Okay, there you go. I like that. Yeah, and Amy, Exxon Mobil's good. Yep, CVS or CVX? CVX is Chevron. But yeah, I think there's some good opportunities there. So, you know, what I'm watching for, and again, you know, some of these banking stocks, I think these are still pretty interesting. Remember, we talked about this, getting a breakout and a run down. What did this thing do? It ran down, and it's right back up again. And so now we're just kind of extending the reach, and we're just going to see where these guys all go. We're just creating a big channel like this now, big parallel channel in the banking sector. And so, you know, in this kind of a channel, what chances, you know, again, what is the question we have to ask ourselves? What chances does Bank of America have to make profits in the future? Real good chances. So we get some dips. Let's get bullish Bank of America. We get some dips on JP Morgan. Let's do the same thing, right? We're just in that area where these channels are expanding. Now this one's kind of an interesting one, right? Because we're getting this real flat line resistance level here that is looking quite. My chart is just real slow here. You know, again, I think that these guys have, you know, a lot of this kind of stuff coming, and I would say, you know, probably that type of movement is what we've got coming up. So think about companies, think about what potential they have for making profit in the future, and then trade what you see on the charts. That's you know, that's really what we got to look at. Demand is picking up with people coming out of their caves more. Yep, exactly, Andrew. Absolutely. So, you know, I'm still interested. I just want to trade credit spreads at this point. There's some companies I'm interested in buying stock on. I think banks and airlines are good to just buy stock, buy and hold. You know, this isn't a short-term play. The options will be a short-term play. You know, look for selling some put spreads on most of these. Stay bullish, lean towards the optimism. The market is just looking for any ounce of good news anywhere. So lean towards that optimism, and you know, and watch these guys play out. I mean, even cruise lines are kind of working their way up, right? They're kind of stalling out like the airlines. We have, you know, the hotel stocks are kind of, everyone's kind of in this same little channel, right? What chances does Marriott Hotels have of making profit in the future? I'd say pretty darn good chances, but you know, we got to trade what we see. We've got to stick with this and make sure that we're just watching these channels and letting this thing play out, right? Yeah, people are booking cruises. That's right. Cruise line bookings are up like a chunk, by the way, which I thought, that's crazy, but you know, life will move on. It'll get back to normal, and you know, all the things that we think aren't going to get back to normal, like airlines and hotels and banks and oil and everything, it will. Remember, it's all just a cycle. Things go down, they go up, they go back down. We're not losing the travel sector. We're not going to lose, you know, the energy sector, any of that anytime soon. So yeah, I hear you, Andrew. I'm ready to move on too. I'm tired of this planet being shut down. Let's go. Yeah, Steve. Rental car stocks. Hertz filed for bankruptcy, so that's a little tricky for sure. Yep. Hertz is feeling the pain. Hertz is feeling the hurt. So yeah, the cruise lines have had a hard time with the virus situation. I actually had a friend that got stuck on a cruise line a couple years ago in the middle of the ocean. They had to eat spam and all this garbage for like 5 days. It was terrible. But yeah, they've had a hard time. Plus, you know, all these cruise lines have had like 20,000 workers sitting on ships in the middle of the ocean because ports won't take them anywhere. So they just have to sit out there and float around until, you know, things blow over, literally. So, excuse me. It's interesting. I'm still watching the stocks on these airlines, hotels, and banks and energy and tech stocks. I think we have some sideways movement coming. I might even get a little tiny bit short on some tech stocks for the short term, but you know, the potential for the profit for those guys is going to be massive. Buy some Bitcoin. Watch those sectors. I think those are going to be some of the most interesting, and I'm ready for some nice long-term plays here. I want to let these guys play out and make a move for us. So trade what you see, and yeah, stick with this market. But I'm going to cut the webinar short today, guys, because I have to run a little bit early. But you know, that's just a little check-in. We didn't meet last week. I had something come up, and I won't be on next week because I'll be in Alaska. So apologies, folks. I hate missing webinars, but we'll be back to our normal schedule after that, so it should be good. So yes, okay, good, Dom. Yeah, frontline, excuse me. Yeah, good, excellent. Yeah, the tanker stocks I think are going to be interesting. These guys are just getting paid to sit with full loads of oil for sure. Yeah, Mel. I hope it's warm up there. I hope it's warm enough anyway, because yeah, if it's cold, I'm turning around and coming back. Okay, you guys, thanks for being on, everybody. And we'll see how it goes. I will be out most of next week, so it should be exciting. But it'll be it'll be fun to get out of town and get away from the markets for a couple of minutes. So I'm gonna go catch some salmon and see how it's all looking. So thanks for being on, everyone. Nice to see you guys. Take care. We'll catch up in 2 weeks for the live sessions, and we'll go from there. Take care, guys. Nice seeing you all. Have a good one.